Hi everybody, welcome back to Willie's American Guitars. So, you guys have probably all heard this. We've said it before, you've read it yourselves, that guitars are fairly hot right now. People are at home and they're sitting around and they're playing guitar. And one of the most popular guitars is guitars with holes in it. So by holes in it, I mean guitars with F-holes. And the 335 genre, the ES-335 by Gibson, because it has a center block, becomes this really interesting object for people. The prices on these models have risen since the pandemic started. We look at things like 330s and 335s, and there's been a real escalation in prices, especially the older ones. Now, this is a 74 and this is a 68 ES-335. And you can see on the back of the headstock, you see this big volute back there on that. You can see the larger headstock on this. There's a couple of things that happened in the 70s that make the 60s more valuable. The type of lacquer, the type of magnets. The Brazilian rosewood in 1968, the Brazil shut down their rosewood exports, and everybody had to switch to Indian rosewood. But the 70s still, especially compared to now, is still a lacquer finish. Frankly, Gibson and most manufacturers will paint their guitars with a rubberized paint and then put lacquer over that. And you'll discover that if you try to age a guitar, you get through the lacquer and what's underneath it is completely different. These guitars don't have that, so you get a higher quality wood, and now they've aged quite a bit too. So, I am going to play through this great car Sportsman, and the reason it's great is because it will go down to living room volume levels. It's 2 power tubes, so it does give you a really good bass response to it. And then this is a 1974, in case you didn't guess from my note. And this is in a nice walnut finish. Now these are patent sticker pickups. Of course, is that you can turn it down, and you don't really need an amp, so you can set this next to whatever, but and play it at any time. So you get enough volume out of this with the air chamber that's in there, and it won't feed back. Then I will play through this, which is a 68, and at the end of this, we're going to keep this short as we can. I'll play through all of these. This 1968, of course, like I said, Brazilian rosewood. Now, these pickups will tend to be a little lighter, so they won't drive the amp as much. But what happens when you turn up the amp is these pickups also are rounder. They have more bass, more treble. As the decades moved on from 68 to 78, people wanted higher output pickups so they distort the amp more. Now we go back in time and people prefer the lower output pickups for their fidelity. Your notes are truer. They seem to have more bass, but through a low output amp, you might notice it's a little less output. These pickups, this is a modern year 2000 Guild Starfire, and this is a Fender-made product. I love this. I think there's nothing wrong with these American-made Guilds. I am not a fan of the Korean-made Guilds for a variety of reasons, including the materials that they make it out of. But right away, now, a lot of you younger guys are going, now that's the guitar, because it really does distort. Guild has its knobs a little closer to your reach. It's set up a little differently. The cutaways are a little skinnier, but the neck on this guitar is huge. Now this guitar is under $2,000. This guitar is, I don't know because there's not a tag on it. And of course, when you get into these more collectible 335s, this is about $5,500. The reason you'd buy the more expensive one is because they tend to go up in value. Are you sure about that? Yes, they've gone up in value every year for the past 40 years. And there's something about that, getting a nice vintage guitar just for that. Not as loud. There's a little better acoustic quality to that. You'll notice I have not touched the amplifier. One more, I'll play the 70s one for you really quickly, and then we will let you get on with your day. ES-335s. How fun can it get, huh?